Hey everybody, Freddie here with another video. Welcome to day 3 of the Azure Monitor Cost Optimization series. Today we're going to be focusing on data retention. So yes, if you didn't watch yesterday's video, please do so. We talk about ingesting the data and how to manipulate that data before it comes into the Log Analytics workspace. Now that the data is already in the Log Analytics workspace, we need to talk about retention. We need to talk about compliance, and we need to talk about all the little details on how you can optimize the data once it's in the Azure Log Analytics workspace. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let's get to it. All right, the first step that we're gonna take is we're gonna know about the defaults. So that's one of the areas that you must pay attention to. Know the defaults. So let's go ahead and go through that. I'm gonna show you in the portal how and what those settings are. In the portal, when we're looking at the Log Analytics workspace, I have one here that I've been using. So when you click at the Log Analytics workspace, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna look at the tables. You're gonna notice that here on this side, you're gonna see that the workspace default is 30 days. Total retention is 30 days. The name of the table and the type of plan that it's on at this moment. So everything right now is set to analytics. All the tables have different retention periods, or can have different retention periods, such as usage. The default is 90 days and the total retention is 90 days. So this is very important to know because Azure gives different values or different retention periods to different tables. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be looking at that. We're gonna be modifying those settings, and we're gonna be taking in consideration the difference between compliance and reality. What I mean by reality is a lot of times you have operational compliance, which means that you have to keep the data for at least 30 days so you can go back and check to see if something happened. Now, if you have some regulatory compliance, where you need to keep the data for, say, 7 years or 5 years or 3 years. It doesn't really matter what that compliance is. It doesn't make sense for you to keep that data in what we call the hot tier. In this case, you can tier it. You can keep the hot data in what we call the analytics, in the Log Analytics workspace. And then data that is warm, data that needs to be in there, we can move it to something called basic logs. And any archive data, we can move it to Blob or a storage account where you can reference it later. You can take that data. The beauty of Azure nowadays is that if you have things like Fabric, for example, Azure Fabric, which allows you to take data from different sources and combine them into one, and then you can take that and put it into some type of AI agent that can do some analytics for you, or you can just query the data. It doesn't really need to be for AI purposes, although nowadays in the AI age, we see that a lot more people are taking data sources from different places and combining them into one place like Fabric and combining them to AI search and things like that to create agents that can be used to find specific information. So anyway, that's the beauty. So it doesn't matter if you send the data to the Log Analytics workspace or if you send it to Blob, you can still combine that and be able to query it. So let's go back to the portal. So back in the portal, one of the things that we're going to look at is heartbeat. For example, heartbeat data is not so much, it's not worth keeping for too long. Let's just say that at this point it's set to 30 days. Let's go ahead and click on this, and we're going to click on Manage Data. Now, when you would do a managed data, what we can see is the analytics retention. This analytics retention is you can call hot data. How long this data is going to be in the hot tier. In this case, it's set to 30 days. Same as the workspace settings, that's what it says. And the total retention is 30 days. But let's just say that you want to keep 30 days in hot tier, and you want to keep it up to 90 days. And now what you're doing is you're saying the hot tier is 30 days and warm is 90 days. So as you can see here, it changed. It says analytics retention is the blue, which is 30, and the long retention, which is 60 days for a total of 90 days. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna save it. Now this is going to change. The heartbeat is saying the default is 30 days and the total retention is 90 days. Now, the key here is to understand that this archive, this long-term retention, is much cheaper than the analytics one. So this is the way that you go, that you have to go in there and you have to change the tiers, so that way you're not paying for data that you're not using. Now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the basic logs. There's some tables that allow you to change the table to a basic log. Let's go ahead and look at that. When we're back in the portal, let's go ahead and just look at one, Azure Activity, which is set to 90 days, and I changed it to 1 year total retention. I'm going to go ahead and look at the manage table. In this case, the table plan is set to analytics, and I'm not able to change that. So that's one of the things that some tables allow you to do and some tables don't allow you to. Let's go ahead and look at the Azure metrics here. This one, again, the plan is set to analytics. So let's go ahead and click on this and click on manage table. As you can see here, this specific table allows you to change the table plan. This is where basic logs come into the picture. So you can change it to basic. Now the total retention changes because you're not able to do hot tier and archive tier. Total retention is total retention, which is 180 days. You can do 30 days. This is how you change the table plan to use a basic log instead of using a hot and archive tier. Again, there's some tables that allow you to do it. There's some tables that don't allow you to do it. Okay, in the portal, let's go ahead and go to monitor, and we're gonna go to diagnostic settings, and we're gonna select the correct subscription. Okay, so here's the TrimPilot IP, for example. When we click on this, we can add in diagnostic setting. You can select what type of data you need. So I'm gonna say audit, say save all logs and all metrics to the storage account, because it's going to be cheaper to save it in a blob than it is to keep it in the Log Analytics workspace. So now I have that, and I can go back to this, and here it is. As you can see, I have a diagnostic settings that is FMD test. I can add another one, and I can say just the audit logs and not all metrics if I don't want to. But I mean, if I wanted to, I can say all metrics, but in this case, I'm going to send it to a Log Analytics workspace, and this is where I'm going to be saving this. So I'm going to say that, I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to save this. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting up this strategy where I can send all the data to Blob, because Blob is much cheaper. But at the same time, from the diagnostic settings, I can send some of that information to a Log Analytics workspace, so I can query it using KQL. And pretty much I can do it very quickly. So this strategy works well just because I'm sending all the data to Blob, but only a subset I'm sending it to a Log Analytics workspace so I can query it. Just remember, this is a strategy that you can use to save on the logs, because again, once the data is in Blob, you can query it. You can use different methods to query that data. Now I have both the test storage and the analytics. One of them is sending it to a storage account. The other one is sending it to the analytics. Okay, so those are some of the strategies that I use in my with my customers to save them money, but still save all the data. I think one of the things that is very, very beneficial is being able to keep the data. So this is why you can route it to a storage account, but only route the Log Analytics, only a subset to a Log Analytics workspace. Change the plan of a table from analytics to basic if it's possible, so that way you're paying much less for that data, for the storage. Also change the retention period. Again, you can keep the data for 90 days, but only 30 in hot, and then the rest in archive. That'll save you a lot of money as well. And we're gonna go ahead and leave it at this for now. I hope this video was beneficial to you. I hope you learned something. If there's anything that I missed, please leave it in the comment section down below. If you haven't done so, like this video, it helps my channel a lot. and it keeps me motivated to keep doing videos. If you haven't subscribed and clicked on that notification bell, please do so you can be notified for the next video. Next video is going to be all about transformations. We're going to be talking about how, once the data is in the log, how can you transform that data so you only keep what you need and nothing more than that. I hope you join me for that video, and until next time, take care.